Malala, the human rights activist, is now 18 years old, and she is from Swat Valley in Pakistan.
70% of Swat Valley is taken over by Taliban. In 2007, they came to Swat Valley from Afghanistan to expand their territory. They introduced the people of Swat Valley to a very harsh and barbaric interpretation of the Sharia law.
The Taliban wanted to create their own government in Swat Valley, and they told to the citizens that they're going to be much more happier with them because they have great laws. They're going to help them with everything much quicker than the Pakistani government was doing at that time.
That meant the worst thing was that they were against the education of girls, and in the month of January 2009 they said that no girl is allowed to go to school. And at that time I said, why shall we be silent? Why don't we speak up for our rights? Why don't we tell the world what is happening in Swat? And I did not want Swat to be a next Afghanistan, because this is what was happening in Afghanistan at that time as well, and it's still happening in Afghanistan. But in Swat we said, let us speak up for our rights.
The citizens of Swat Valley, they thought that the Taliban is going to give them a better life by very close Islamic religion and laws. But what really happened was that the Taliban took over their resources, took over their lives, and suppressed them with showing power by killing their families and suppressing other people, especially women. They were feeling threatened by the women, that women can take over their space and their lives, and especially by Malala, she was just 10 years old, but she was very outspoken, and she was outspoken for girls that should get equal education rights, should get rights like boys did.
Malala's father plays a huge role in Malala's development, and Malala always talks about that he is the reason why she is so fearless, and he is the reason why she is very outspoken and she wants to get education, and she's very driven by him.
It reminded me suddenly about Huey P. Newton's book, The Revolutionary Suicide, where he's talking about his father being harassed, and he was never giving into the harassments, and he was always fighting against the white people and the harassments, which is very interesting because Huey saw that and he thought about his father as being a role model in that. In the beginning, he was thinking, why is he doing that? But after, when he grew up, he saw that his father was right. And what he did was beautiful because the white people talked and called him as being crazy.
They called him crazy because they just could not understand that a black person is resisting to white supremacists. The same thing though happened with Malala too. She wasn't giving up on her education, and she said even a statement before she got shot in her head by a Taliban, that she is going to get her education even if she had to study at home without a teacher, without anybody. She's going to get her education. And that's why she got a lot of threats from the Taliban that she's going to be killed. But she still became stronger, and that was the reason why she wanted to encourage any other girl in Swat to pursue an education and to get stronger and to not let loose, not to back off. And that's how she did it. And there were other girls too that became with Malala, and there were other fathers that wanted to protect their girls, their daughters, and they became together. They created a collective society, a hidden society. Malala's father even went to school to teach other students, and he had to take off the school sign because he wanted to protect his students, and he did it because he wanted to hide that he's teaching his students. That is how Malala's father was creating an own situation, an own society, where he was teaching his girls, his students, and was educating them without any help of the government and very hidden from the Taliban. Huey was also put into jail because he was accused of killing a police officer. He was tortured mentally and physically, and he was tried to break his spirit and to intimidate him, which totally backfired because Huey became much stronger than he ever was before, and he became much more sure about the fighting for peace, for black people, for his people, against the white people that were harassing them, and they weren't even giving them any rights. In the political process and the development of Black Insurgency book, Doug McAdam is also speaking about the South that was very harsh and very unfair towards the Black people, and they were treated as slaves, and they were also treated worse than slaves. That the same thing is happening when the Taliban were in Swat Valley. They were treating their own people as slaves. They have to do what they're saying, or else they're going to get punished in front of everybody else. And it's allowed, they say, in their law. The Taliban, they promised something to the citizens of Swat Valley, and they gave them rights, and then they took it away, but then they created laws that work a little. This is a dance that with the people and the government, which is very dangerous and very unfair. Malala, however, is not ashamed of her heritage. She even until today wears clothes that are traditionally Pakistani and Afghani. She wears clothes that are very colorful, even in situations where other people would choose just American or white traditional clothing, but she stays true to her roots. Elaine Brown and her mother were obsessed with being accepted by the white society, and therefore they even forgot their own heritage, and they even wanted to get more whiter, and they were happy with especially Elaine that she is white, and also her mother, that her color is not that dark, even though she's an African American, just American or white traditional clothing, but she stays true to her roots. This is very impressive. And she is very young, but it has also something to do with support system she has. And what Elaine had the support system of her mother that treated her like a princess and was nourishing her all the time, telling her how beautiful she looks and how white she is and those things. This was the brainwash she was being in. What really interesting is that Huey Newton was not acknowledged in his student life as being a good student because of his skin color. He was very suppressed in his classes, and he even was thrown out from his school. And he had to face a lot of shame and embarrassment, and he was told that he is black and that's why he's stupid. He could not do anything. That's how he started not really believing in himself. Whereas Malala, in her life, she was told that she could not do anything, but she still raised, and she had a good support system, which was her father, that was a teacher, and he was telling her all the time that she is very smart and she can do anything she wants. That is the reason why Huey Newton wanted to create his own society of Black people which are empowering each other like the Black Panthers. He created schools, hospitals, everybody worked together. They were teaching each other things that they weren't learning from the white people in schools when they were growing up. In 2012, a Taliban member attacked Malala on her way to school. She was shot in her head, but survived. After Malala's head injury, she was deported to United Kingdom to get treatment, and since then she's living there now with her family. She was awarded in 2014 for the Nobel Prize for her struggle against the suppression of children and young people and for the right of all children to education.